This is ATN Global News at 9. First, the headlines. Declares state of emergency. River State APC urges Tinubu. Gunmen kill 6 in Fresh Benue attack. Reps pledges unwavering support for military operations. Nigeria spends $600 million importing palm oil annually. Cyril Ramaphosa sworn in for second term. Rema wins double at 2024 ASCAP Music Awards. Arsenal ready, €100 million Osimhen bid. Now the news in detail. Inspector General of Police IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, it condemns in the strongest terms recent outbreak of violence and subsequent breakdown of law and order at various local government council secretariats in River State, where supporters of two political factions clashed over the tenure of local government council chairman, which unfortunately led to the tragic death of a police officer, Inspector David Mbada and Samuel Wigwe, a vigilante member at Igberi Omuma in Omuma local government area. In response to this heinous act, the IGP has directed the Commissioner of Police in River State, CP Olatunji Disu, to heighten security measures across the state and institute thorough investigations into the killing of the police officer and vigilante operatives, as well as the general violence which erupted in the state. The IGP has specifically deployed operatives of the Force Intelligence Response Team to assist the River State Command in apprehending the killers of the police officer and the vigilante member. The IGP seriously warns individuals and groups of people who have a penchant for senseless attacks and mindless killings of police officers and other security operatives across the country to desist forthwith, as the fullest force of the law will be meted on them. The CP has also been directed to focus on increased patrols, strategic deployment of officers, and enhanced intelligence operations to prevent further violence and ensure the safety of all residents. The Inspector General of Police calls on all residents and political stakeholders in state to exercise restraint and seek peaceful means of resolving differences. All Progressives Congress in River State has exonerated itself from the ongoing political war in River State, absolving members of the party in the state of not being part of the ongoing war. The caretaker chairman of the APC, Chief Tony Okocha, in a media chat, blamed the state governor, Siminalai Fubara, for the unrest of the state. He further raised alarm over unwarranted movement around his environment by some thugs.
I want to use your opportunity to absolve APC members in River State. We are not part of the ongoing war in River State. We are not. I will also absolve the innocent residents of River State who have come here to do business, to fend for themselves and put food on their tables. I want to say that we are also absolve the innocent citizens of River State. They are not part of the war. The war is Governor Siminalayi versus Governor Siminalayi. That is a war in Rivers State as we speak.
To safeguard lives and properties in River State, Chief Tony Okocha called on the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, declare state of emergency in the state.
Has identified enemies in his house, not external enemies in his house. Governor Fubara is not pleased. When this trouble that he has caused will come full blown, he will run away against that. I can be sure of that. And so the best bet for Rivers State as we speak today is a state of emergency. Let the army be deployed to take over strategic places. Let this
Okocha further took a swipe at the comments made by the former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, when he said that 84% of Nigerians are not in support of the administration of President Bola Tinubu. Okocha lambasted the former Governor of River State, Rotimi Amechi, of lacking capacity to speak ill of Mr. President, maintaining that the entire River State is happy and will continue to support Mr. President.
In a meeting, he said that 84% of Nigerians do not like the government of the president of the Federal Republic today, as we all know. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the leader of the Federal Republic, and that 84% of Nigerians are not in sync, that they do not like the government. And we were here to ask him, what is the statistical data? How did he generate that data? Is it by random sampling or by any form whatsoever, or by his own extrapolations? One will wonder why someone who almost franchised the sovereignty of Nigeria, who led the borrowing, massive borrowing of money from China.
People's Democratic Party has cautioned the immediate past River State's local government chairman whose tenure has expired against any conduct capable of disrupting the peace in the state. National Publicity Secretary of the party, Honorable Debo Ologunagba, issued the words of caution in a statement in Abuja on Wednesday. According to him, the PDP notes that the 3-year tenure in office of the former local government executive councils in the state has expired. The party called on the people of River State to remain calm, law-abiding, and continue to work together for the continued stability, peace, and delivery of democracy dividends in River State. Recall there were reports of skirmishes between supporters of the former LG executives and those loyal to Governor Siminalayi Fubara on Tuesday in Port Harcourt. Analysts has maintained that the outgoing local government chairmen were the major cause of the feud that rocked various local government councils in the state. Speaking on Atlantic Open Conversation, a social-political analyst Forgiven Amakri expressed his view.
Local government chairmen attempting in whatever reasons they have to stay beyond their official tenure after the governor of River State, being the chief security officer, being the head and leader of the state, had made a broadcast directing the heads of local government to take over the administration of the local government. But yet, the former local government chairmen and the effrontery in their desperation to elongate their tenure and stay perpetually in office contributed, necessitated what happened here.
Condemning the development, Asim Adams described the development as a dismembering of the principles of rule of law and attempt to force crisis in the state.
Was a tragedy, was debasement of the constitution, dismembering of the principles and ethos of rule of law, and an attempt to foist, gangsterism.
This is coming after the governor of River State, Siminalayi Fubara, ordered heads of look the oil and gas blowout at a well owned by the company in the area. ATN learned that the latest incident occurred at a loading point in the Nebe Creek when the force of the tide caused a station vessel to hit a loading vessel identified as FMT-23. The spill, it was further learned, had spread as far as Upoma in the Atlantic Fringe in Brass local government area. Eyewitnesses at Nembe Creek and Mami Waterkerry, two communities bordering the loading point, attributed a spill to the incident between the two vessels. According to them, the host disconnected from the loading vessel and started pumping crude oil into the water at great force, and it took some time before oil workers could shut down the point. Also speaking, a resident of the area who simply identified himself as a Bion said concentration of crude oil on the water could be seen from a point before Nembe Creek trunk line up to the loading point that extended past Pombokiri community close to the boundary with Brass local government area. Indigenous oil firm Atio Eastern Exploration and Production Company says it has temporarily shut down production at the Nembe field in response to an oil spill. Atio, in a statement dated June 18, 2024, but made available to newsmen on Wednesday in Agua by its spokesperson, Indiana Matthew, confirmed the Monday oil leak from its facility. Matthew says that the cause of the spill is currently undetermined. However, they are proactively engaging with stakeholders to mitigate the immediate effect. Commenting on the incident, EPCO's Group Managing Director Victor Okoronkwo said during their operations on Monday, June 17, 2024, the subject leak was detected and that a joint investigative visit with stakeholders has been initiated to determine the cause of the incident. Okoronkwo added that they regret the production losses to the joint venture and the nation and the potential environmental impact, noting that their current priority is to expedite an efficient spill management process in line with regulatory standards and collaborate with all stakeholders to restore production and mitigate associated risks. Bayelsa State Governor Doyodiri on Wednesday forwarded the names of 13 nominees for appointment as commissioners to the Bayelsa State House of Assembly for screening and confirmation. The forwarded names were contained in a letter read by the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Abraham, during plenary on Wednesday. ATN had earlier reported that Governor Diri in April sent the first batch of 14 nominees, with the additional 13 makes it a total of 27 commissioners to fill his cabinet. The House, presided over by the Speaker, fixed Thursday, 20th June 2024 for the screening and confirmation of the 13 additional commissioner nominees. The nominees include Honorable Alfred Watson, Belemote, Chief Thompson Amule, Professor Seifa Brisibe, Honorable A.B. Ben Ololo, Honorable West Alalibo Geku, Gospower, and Mandy Silvanus Akpalo. Others are Professor Bekei Sese, Alfred Kemepa Bado, Nimi Ziga, Dr. Faith Izibenwa Zips, Onuma Johnson, Chief Gospower Oporomo, and John Allah. Leadership of the People's Democratic Party in Oredo local government area of Edo State says the party has not suspended Omoroge Ihama, a former House of Representatives member. The party on Wednesday in Benin City said the purported suspension was false and misleading. The PDP chairman in the local government, Odua, told newsmen in Benin that the local government executive's attention has been drawn to a purported expulsion of Ogbede Ihama by a group. Ogbinosun also said the National Working Committee of the party had extended the tenure of all elected executives and rectified them to act as caretaker committee members. Also, the executives of PDP Ward 2 Oredo local government said that they were not aware of the purported suspension and expulsion of the two-term House of Representatives member. The secretary of the ward, Mr. Jesowo Obadige, stated this on behalf of the executives. 48 suspected criminals have been nabbed by men of the Ondo State Security Network Agency, the Omotekun Corps, for committing various crimes in different parts of the state in the last week. The suspects, two of whom are females, were apprehended for crimes ranging from armed robbery, kidnapping, attempted murder, burglary and house-breaking, fraud with fake POS bank alerts, cultism, stealing, flouting the anti-open grazing law, and assault. Various exhibits recovered from the suspects and displayed include 2 cars, 1 live goods, a generating set, some clothing materials, electric transformer cables, and some fake dollar notes. Parading the suspects before newsmen at the Ondo headquarters of Omotekun Corps in Akure, the commander of the corps in the state, Adetunji Adele, disclosed that all the suspects, some of whom were caught in the act, confessed to the crime. According to Adele, over 600 suspects apprehended in the state by men of the corps in the last 6 months are currently being prosecuted. They will be sent to the correctional facilities if found guilty. The Omotekun boss also revealed that the rate of kidnapping in the Oshe local government area of the state has reduced drastically as a result of the heavy presence of Omotekun corps in the area, patrolling the area constantly. Lagos State government says it will apply infection prevention and control measures in schools as an effort to prevent the controlled spread of communicable diseases. Mr. Jamiu Ali Balogun, Lagos State Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, gave the assurance in a statement on Tuesday in Lagos. The assurance followed cholera outbreak in some local government areas of the state. He said the goal of IPC in schools is to minimize the risk of infectious disease outbreaks in the school community and ensure a safe and healthy learning environments for students, teachers, and other staff members. He also said the measures included vaccination. The commissioner called on management of the schools to ensure that food handlers will observe strict hygiene practices to prevent contamination and spread the diseases. He said that oral rehydration salts must be made available in school clinics or bays to manage dehydration cases promptly, while hand washing facility must be provided. ATN reports that cholera is a bacterial disease that commonly presents with episodes of diarrhea with or without vomiting or fever. Patients may become very dehydrated within hours if not treated. Children are often at highest risk. Gunmen suspected to be local militants on Tuesday launched an attack on Gogo community in Katsina, Ala local government area of Benue State, and killed 6 people. Sources in the local government told our correspondent on Wednesday that the gunmen rode on motorcycles to attack the community between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Confirming the incident on Wednesday, the lawmaker representing the constituency in the State House of Assembly, Jonathan Abidie, said that 6 people were killed in the attack. Also confirming the incident, the local government chairman, Shako Justin, said that the militants attacked the community between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. on Tuesday. The chairman said that the lawmaker representing Katsina Ala at the State Assembly visited the community for an on-the-spot assessment, adding that normalcy is returned to the village. When contacted, the spokesperson for the State Police Command, Catherine Anene, said she was yet to receive the report. Kano State Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Abbas, has called for the arrest of a former governor of Kano State, Rabiu Kwankwaso, saying he is a threat to the security of the state. Abbas was responding to the allegations made by Kwankwaso, who accused the past administration for breeding Boko Haram terrorists and misleading the federal government to destabilize the state. Kwankwaso made this statement during his speech at the 85-kilometer road construction flag-off in his hometown in Madobi community. Abbas called on security agencies to arrest the senator so he could list the names of those he referred to as the enemies working against the state. He also noted that no amount of threat by Kwankwaso could intimidate the federal government. The chairman noted that the new Nigeria People's Party (NPP) has had sinister motives to foment trouble in Kano. Abbas also alleged that since the forceful enthronement of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi as emir, hundreds of weapons brandishing thugs have been recruited. They stationed at the MI's palace, where all sorts of illicit substances are openly being sold, posing a threat to residents within and around the area. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Please stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today.
Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. Federal Government of Nigeria and the Space Exploration and Research Agency, SARA, from Delaware, USA, have signed a Memorandum of Understanding to collaborate on human space flight missions. In a landmark event which held today at the nation's capital, Abuja, the MOU was signed between the National Space Research and Development Agency, NASA, and SARA, highlighting a collaborative effort to advance human space flight capabilities. This partnership, which amongst other things aims to foster development of critical technologies and infrastructure required for human missions beyond the Earth, will also see a Nigerian land in space. The signing ceremony was supervised by the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Chief Uche Naji. Underscoring the importance of this partnership for Nigeria's Begun in Space program, Dr. Matthew Adepoju, Director General of NASA, expressed his enthusiasm for the partnership, saying it is a historic moment for NASA and Nigeria. He added that SARA's expertise and the agency's dedication will yield remarkable milestone in human space exploration within the continent and beyond. ATN learned that NASA was established on May 5, 1999 after a preparation period since 1998 by former President Olusegun Obasanjo and the Nigerian government, with the primary objective of establishing a fundamental policy for the development of space, science and technology. Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Defense, Honorable Babajimi Benson, has said that the successes recorded in various operations across the country by the Nigerian military underscore the bravery, professionalism and unwavering commitment of the military personnel to safeguarding the nation. The chairman expressed heartfelt commendations to the armed forces of Nigeria for their remarkable achievements and steadfast dedications in recent times. According to a statement signed in Abuja, Benson highlighted the numerous victories against insurgents, bandits and other criminal elements that have threatened the peace and security of Nigeria. He emphasized that all these achievements are a testament to the resilience and sacrifice of the men and women in uniform who tirelessly work to ensure the safety and security of all Nigerians. The chairman further highlighted that troops under the multinational Joint Task Force have continually delivered significant blows to terrorist groups in the Lake Chad region through a series of daring operations. In one such operation conducted on 15 June 2024, several terrorists were neutralized and 34 women and children were rescued from insurgents. Benson stated that the recent successes of our armed forces in various operations across the country are highly commendable. These victories are not only reflecting the strategic prowess of our military leadership, but also the dedication and bravery of our soldiers, airmen and ratings. We owe them a debt of gratitude for their relentless efforts to protect our nation. He therefore called on all Nigerians to continue supporting and appreciating the armed forces, acknowledging their sacrifices and contributions to the nation's security and cooperating with security agencies to ensure safer and more secure Nigeria. Joint Union Congress of the Police Service Commission has called on the President Bola Tinubu to relieve the Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetoku over his alleged meddlesomeness in the recent recruitment of police constables. During a press briefing on Wednesday in Abuja, the union also alleged that some top officials within the Nigeria Police Force tried to smuggle in names during the recruitment process. The aggrieved members of the union, while singing protest songs, described the reactions of the MPF as diversionary tactics. According to them, MPF intends to prevent the president from noticing the unpreparedness of the police training schools to handle the training of the recruits, owing to the sorry state of the facilities. ATN reports that the move comes after the PSC recently released 10,000 names of successful candidates employed from the recent recruitment exercise by the Commission. The list was later rejected by the MPF, who described the recruitment process as fraudulent. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has announced a week-long activities to commemorate the 2024 World Drug Day with theme International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. The Chairman Chief Executive Officer of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Mawa, made the announcement on 19 June 2024 while briefing newsmen in Abuja, which he said NDLEA will go around churches, mosques and marketplaces and other public places within week-long activities creating awareness on abuse and trafficking of illicit drugs. He further states the recent significant developments jamming to NDLEA's effort to fighting the abuse and trafficking of illicit drugs.
On Friday, June 21st, we will observe a Jumat service at the National Mosque in Abuja to commemorate the World Drug Day. On Saturday, June 22nd, our usual walk against drugs in collaboration with MTN and other stakeholders will be staged from the old parade ground as a takeoff point by 7 a.m. to Gariki Market. On Sunday, June 23, we'll have a Thanksgiving church service at the National Christian Center, that is the Ecumenical Center, by 10 a.m. On Monday, June 24th, we'll be having a grand finale of our secondary school essay competition. The NDLA essay competition is a nationwide contest conducted among secondary schools with the entries whittled down to the final seats. That same day, Monday 24th, is marked as NGO Day when our partners will have their activities. The following day, Tuesday 25th, we'll be in markets and parks in the Federal Capital Territory Area Councils for a program for out-of-school youth. Finally, on Wednesday, June 26th, the World Drug Day commemoration event will be held at the State House Conference Center, beginning at 9 a.m., where all stakeholders will gather to formally unveil the new global policy direction for tackling illicit drug problems. Kindly oblige me now to share some quick background on recent significant developments that are germane to our efforts to curtail the abuse and trafficking of illicit drugs. Firstly, our flagship WADA program, which is War Against Drug Abuse, a whole society approach to preventive action against drug abuse, with a 3 years goal on June 26, 2024, having been launched on the World Drug Day 2021. I am proud to tell you that the program has been a tremendous success as an effective tool of advocacy for social action and as an awareness-driven vehicle for public engagement and collaboration against illicit trafficking and drug abuse.
While United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime said UNODC has worked with the government of Nigeria to adapt and implement evidence-based prevention measures, which include the highly successful Unplugged, a school-based drug prevention program implemented together with the Federal Ministry of Education in 110 unity schools and in a few states in the country, notably KB, Bayelsa, and recently Kaduna, on the initiative of state governments in these states.
UNODC has worked with the government of Nigeria to adapt and implement evidence-based prevention measures, which include the highly successful Unplugged, a school-based drug prevention program implemented together with the Federal Ministry of Education in 110 unity schools and in a few states in the country, notably Kebbi, Bayelsa, and recently Kaduna, on the initiative of the state governments in these states. And thanks to the partnership of the MTN Foundation, the Unplugged program has been extended to a few public schools in 9 other states, in the country. This program has proven to be extremely effective in curbing drug and substance use among participant students. Results indicate that students who went through at least 9 sessions of the Unplugged program showed a reduction in alcohol use by 48%. Besides the preventive efforts of the program on the use of drug by youth, it had the additional effects of creating to a more positive classroom climate and learning environment for students. Many schools recorded improvement in academic performance across all subjects for the students that were opportune to experience this program. Evidence of life skills part of the program, as well as students who were not part of this program, noting the change in those that went through the Applied program. However, despite the success of the Unplugged program being implemented in 425 secondary schools, reaching a total of over 500,000 students since its inception in 2015,
Abuja Federal High Court has denied granting bail to suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari. In his ruling, Justice Emeka Nwite held that Kyari's bail is at the discretion of the court in line with Section 161, subsection 2 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. The judge ruled that Kyari had not sworn any evidence to warrant the court granting him bail. ATN recalls that on May 22, the judge had granted the former boss of the Intelligence Response Team, IRT, temporary 2 weeks bail to bury his mother. However, the 2 weeks were extended by a week upon an application filed by Mr. Kyari for an extension of the bail. On June 1, Kyari perfected the bail conditions and was released the same day. At today's proceedings, Justice Emeka Nwite refused to extend his earlier order but granted accelerated hearing in the case. ATN also recalled that Kyari was detained following his arrest on February 14, 2022 by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency for alleged involvement in the international drug cartel. He, along with 4 members of the Police Intelligence Response Team, Sunday Bia, Bawa, James, Simon, Agiriba, and John Nuhu, was arraigned on March 7, 2022. 2 suspected drug traffickers, Chibuna Umebe and Emeka Ezewanne, who were arrested at Akanu Ibiam International Airport in Enugu, were also charged, while Kyari and IRT members pleaded not guilty. Umebe and Ezewanne pleaded guilty and were convicted. Federal High Court in Abuja on Wednesday dismissed a fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by fleeing Binance Holding Limited executive Nadeem Anjarwalla against the National Security Advisor and EFCC. Justice Ian Gekwa, in a ruling, dismissed the suit for lack of diligent prosecution. When the case was called, no lawyer appeared for Anjarwalla and neither was the applicant in court. In a short ruling, Justice Ekwa noted that on March 28, when the matter came up, Toye Kurubo San, who appeared for Anjarwalla, sought to leave to withdraw his appearance in the matter. An application was granted. He said the matter was adjourned until today for mention, but no lawyer appeared for the applicant. ATN reports that the Anjarwalla Binance's Africa Regional Manager has filed a separate rights enforcement suit along his colleague Tigran Gambaran against the NSA and EFCC, seeking an order releasing them from detention. In their separate applications, Anjarwalla and Gambarian, a U.S. citizen overseeing financial crime compliance at the crypto exchange platform, sought a declaration that their detention and seizure of their international travel passports contravene Section 35, subsection 1 and 4 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The judge fixed the date after Gaboyan's lawyer, Kurubu, moved a motion seeking to amend their originating process. Although EFCC's lawyer, Olariwaju Adiola, opposed the motion, the judge held that parties by law were entitled to amend their processes before judgment. Leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, on Wednesday expressed willingness to seek negotiations with the federal government. Kanu anchored his move for a negotiation with the federal government Under Section 17 of the Federal High Court Act, the IPOB leader has been detained by the Department of State Services DSS since 2021 when he was rearrested in Kenya and repatriated to Nigeria. Since his return, the IPOB leader has been facing trial of terrorism-related charges before an Abuja Federal High Court. ATN learned that Section 17 of the Federal High Court Act states that in any proceeding in the court may promote reconciliation among parties thereto and encourage and facilitate the amicable settlement thereof. Speaking through his lead counsel, Aloy Ejimako, Kanu informed the Abuja Federal High Court of his negotiations after he moved 2 applications brought before the court. Ejimako said if the applications are denied, they will move for the implementation of Section 17 of the Federal High Court Act. Responding, the federal government's counsel, Adeboyega Awomolo, informed the court that he had earlier informed the defendant that he does not have the power to negotiate on behalf of the federal government, as the faith given to him does not empower him to negotiate. He added that the defendant should approach the Attorney General of the Federation. In her reply, Justice Binta Nyako said the court was not a solicitor, but to only hear cases. Federal government on Wednesday announced the addition of 17 deep offshore oil blocks to the 2024 licensing round for oil fields in Nigeria. ATN recalled that some deep offshore blocks were recently put on offer for the 2022-2023 mini bid round, and other blocks which cut across onshore continental shelf and deep offshore terrains were also put on offer for the Nigeria 2024 licensing round. Precisely on May 8, the government invited investors to bid for 12 oil blocks and 7 deep offshore assets of the 2024 marginal field bid rounds. Also on June 12, 2024, it was reported that the federal government had increased the number of oil blocks in offer in the 2024 marginal bid round. The Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Benga Komolafe, disclosed this at the pre-bid conference for the 2024 licensing round in Lagos, providing updates on 2022, 2023 and 2024 licensing round. Komolafe, in a statement he signed and issued in Abuja on Wednesday, the 17 deep offshore blocks have been added to the 2024 licensing round. Komolafe further stated that by the published guidelines, they had earlier indicated the sum of the assets and offer should be applied for as clusters, namely PPL 300 to CS and PPL 301 to CS, PPL 2000 and PPL 2001. For clarification, he said bidders should refer to the frequently asked questions section of 2022, 2023 and 2024 licensing round portals or contact the upstream regulatory agency. The NUPRC boss also stated that to allow interested investors to take advantage of the expanded opportunities, the 2024 licensing round schedule had been amended. Analysts has tasked the federal government to unveil economic master plans to combat hardship and inflation in the country. Speaking on Atlantic Television Blowout, a public affairs analyst, Victor Iche, called on the current APC administration to set up plans and industrial strategies on how to combat the looming hardship in the country.
To what he said, this is what the government, this is what we're doing to ensure that we tackle banditry and terrorism, to ensure that the suffering that Nigerians are facing is a bit reduced. That is what I would have loved to hear. What I'm hearing is telling us what we know. Of course, we know that we're suffering. We know that terrorism is a problem. We know that banditry is making people not able to go to the farm. What are you as a president? What is your response? What are you doing? What is your government doing to ensure that these sins are reduced? Because you can't eliminate poverty completely.
Similarly, Mufasa Imosan maintained his view on the trend of the current administration as concerns the state of the nation's economy.
Come and begin to tell people their problems as if they don't know. What the people want to hear is solutions to their problems, okay? They should, as a matter of urgency, take their heads off the cloud and stamp their feet on the ground. That is what the people want to see. We are very much aware that so much has been spent on frivolities, on luxurious lives of the ruling class. We are aware of the rapacious brigandage and avariciousness of these people. We have so much.
This is coming after President Bola Tinubu has said that Nigerians are not the only ones facing poverty in the world. While admitting that there is poverty and suffering in the land, Tinubu said the challenges must be tackled. One of the ways of tackling them, he explains, to eliminate banditry and terrorism so that farmers can return to the farm. National Palm Produce Association of Nigeria says Nigeria spends $600 million on palm oil importation annually. Alphonsus Inyang, the national president of the association, stated this in an interview in Abuja. He described the expenses as unhealthy for national development. Inyang said the money could be saved and injected into the economy if the palm oil subsector was given due attention by successive governments. The president regretted that Nigeria, which was self-sufficient in palm oil production in the past, now spends a huge amount to import the same product. Inyang recalled that in the 60s, Nigeria was #1 in palm oil production and exportation globally, controlling over 60% of world palm oil. He said that the reverse was the case at the moment, as over 50% of what we consume is imported. The president attributed the challenge to the neglect of the sector by successive governments. Inyang said that based on the U.S., the Department of Agriculture, Nigeria currently occupies 5th position in the League of Palm Oil Producing Countries with 1.5% or 1.4 million metric tons on the world's total output. Inyang specifically called on the federal government of agriculture and food security to support NPAN members with seedlings to develop 250,000 hectares per year. Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has okayed an interim deal for the procurement of 450 megawatts of electricity from Zungeru Hydroelectricity Generation Company Limited. This was contained in a notice order NERC 2024-044 signed by the Vice Chairman of the NERC, Ms. Suliu Oseni. The Commission said that the approval was important to prevent a newly completed Zungeru hydropower plant with a capacity to generate 650 megawatts from shutdown. According to the Commission, said that approval is for 105 days, commencing from 12 of May 16, 2024, to avoid the perpetual practice of limiting disco's load offtake as a corrective mechanism for system imbalances. The Commission directs the TCN ISO to enter into an interim energy sales agreement for up to 450 megawatts of energy and capacity to address the imbalances currently experienced between generation and offtake, thereby further strengthening grid management. The agreement shall be on a best effort basis. ATN recalled that the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, in May said the completion of the ZHEGC, Nigeria's second hydropower after Kanji Dam, is an additional 625 megawatts in national grid, increasing the country's electricity generation to 4,800 megawatts from 4,200 megawatts. Nigeria Shipping and Port Economic Regulatory Agency Bill, according to maritime stakeholders, conflicts with the government's plan to lower the cost of governance. ATN lands to some stakeholders in the maritime sector. The federal government should concentrate on cutting the cost of governance by implementing the Oronsaya report, which suggests consolidating agencies with overlapping functions. They argue that introducing or passing the Nigeria Shipping and Port Economic Regulatory Agency Bill at a time when the country was battling with economic challenges was not the best idea. Moves to get the bill passed through the National Assembly have resulted in a muted squabble in the sector as its regulators jostle for supremacy in the power play. ATN recalls that the House of Representatives Committee on Shipping Services and Related Matters held a one-day hearing on Monday, May 27, 2024 to gauge public feedback and input on repealing the Nigerian Shippers Council as a prelude to enacting the Nigerian Shipping and Port Economic Regulatory Agency Bill. Speaking with newsmen after a public hearing on the repeal of Nigeria Shippers Council Act, the chairman of the committee, Abdul Samad Dasuki, explained that the committee was still collating memoranda from various stakeholders on the bill before going ahead to present the report before the House of Representatives for third reading. Now on the international tidbits. Cyril Ramaphosa was sworn in for a second term as South Africa's president, hailing his broad coalition government as beginning of a new era. Ramaphosa, whose inauguration took place today at Pretoria, now faces the challenge of appointing a cabinet featuring his weakened African National Congress Party and coalition partners. Lawmakers voted overwhelmingly to re-elect the 71-year-old last week. After elections in May that produced no outright winner, forcing the ANC to strike deals with 5 other parties, including the center-right Democratic Alliance, to form a government of national unity. The ANC, which came to power under Nelson Mandela's leadership in 1994 after waging a decades-long battle against apartheid, lost its majority for the first time in 30 years of democracy, gaining just 40% of the vote. Its alliance with the DA, the largest opposition party with 22% of the vote, has been described by some as a new chapter in the country's history. While investors have welcomed the inclusion of the DA, focus on structural reforms and prudent fiscal policies, analysts predict sharp ideological divisions between the two could create instability. Ramaphosa will now be negotiating the makeup of his new government with members of the new alliance, which also includes the Zulu Nationalists, Inkatha Freedom Party, the Anti-Immigration Patriotic Alliance, and the small center-left Good Party. Numerous heads of state, including Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Angola's Joao Lourenço, Republic of Congo's Denis Sassou, and Eswatini's leader King Mosati III attended the inauguration. North Korea fully supports Russia's war in Ukraine, leading Kim Jong-un told President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday during a state visit to Yongang, which has raised fears of more sanctions bustling military cooperation. The two internationally isolated leaders, who greeted each other with a hug on the red carpet at the airport, signed a new strategic partnership deal during the trip, Putin's first in the nuclear-armed North since 2000. The two countries have been allies since North Korea's founding after World War II and have drawn even closer as Russia seeks to forge a united front against the West. The United States and its allies have accused North Korea of providing ammunition and missiles to Russia for its war in Ukraine, and there are worries Putin's visit will lead to further military deliveries. After a welcoming ceremony in Kim's second Song Square, featuring a military band and mass synchronized dancing, Putin invited his hosts to visit Moscow. The summit, which included a lengthy one-on-one chat between the leaders, was their second meeting in the year. Kim took his bulletproof train to Russia's Far East last September for a summit with Putin at a spaceport. In a significant move aimed at balancing tougher immigration enforcement with more humane policies, President Joe Biden announced new rules that could positively impact many Nigerian families seeking visas to the United States. The announcement is particularly beneficial for Nigerians married to U.S. citizens, offering them a streamlined path to citizenship and providing relief to thousands who have been waiting for a chance to regularize their status. The new rules will not expand eligibility for permanent residency, but rather streamline the process for those who already qualify. The rules removing a requirement they leave the country as part of the application process. ATN learns that the new rules would apply to those present in the country for at least 10 years and married to a U.S. citizen before June 17, 2024, which administration estimates includes some 500,000 people. In addition, some 50,000 stepchildren of U.S. citizens will be eligible. Those approved will be granted work authorization and the right to stay in the United States for up to 3 years while they apply for permanent residency. Once someone has permanent residency, as known as a green card, that person could in theory later apply for citizenship. Russia said on Wednesday it had presented its ideas for a prisoner swap to the United States and was waiting for a response days before it was set to put U.S. reporter Ivan on trial. Ivan is a Wall Street Journal reporter. He was arrested in March 2023 on espionage charges, which have been rejected as false by his family, employer, and the White House. He's set to face a closed-door trial in a rural city of Yekaterinburg in June 26 and would face up to 20 years in prison if found guilty. ATN recalls that President Vladimir Putin said in February that talks on the prisoner swap involving the journalists were underway by the Kremlin. He has not given any detail on the progress of the negotiation. Washington has accused Moscow of arresting its citizens on baseless charges to use them as bargaining chips to secure the release of Russian convicts abroad. The Kremlin has signaled that it is open to a deal on exchanging some of its conditions are met, but it has not revealed details. Putin has suggested a deal may involve the release of a Russian jail in Germany for killing a Chechen dissident. And now on entertainment news, Nigerian Afrobeat powerhouse Rema was dazzling at the Louis Vuitton's men's spring-summer show during Fashion Week in Paris on Tuesday. His global hit Calm Down was plucking trophies at the 2024 ASCAP London Music Awards. Calm Down snagged the coveted Song of the Year and Top Streaming Song Awards. The song's co-writers and co-producers Michael Hunter, aka London, and Andre Vibes were also credited as winners. The wins brings Rema's American Society of Composers, Authors and Publishers ASCAP's awards tally to 3, the most by a Nigerian African artist. Rema is the most awarded African artist in 2024 with 6 awards won so far. He has won 1 Trent Award in Brazil, 1 Hitato iHeart Radio Music Award, 1 ASCAP Pop Music Award, and 2 ASCAP London Music Award. ATN reports that Calm Down recently became the first Afrobeat song in history to earn over 1 billion on-demand streams in the US. Popular Fuji musician Adewale Ayuba has opened up about his move to the United States. In a recent interview, Ayuba revealed that his initial relocation to the U.S. occurred in 1995 during a 3-month summer show with his band. However, political circumstances under the regime of the late military head of state Sani Abacha prevented his return to Nigeria. Ayuba explained that after releasing an album advocating for the freedom of political detainees, including the late Moshood Abiola, he faced serious threats. Following Abacha's death in 1998, Ayuba returned to Nigeria to perform at the Benson Heads concert. The Fuji ace shared that during his extended stay in the U.S., he enrolled in school and completed the necessary documentation to become an American citizen. Ayuba also revealed he met his wife in America. Pop star Justin Timberlake has been released from police custody after his arraignment on charges of driving while intoxicated. The 43-year-old singer was arrested on Long Island and appeared in court on Tuesday, June 18. Timberlake arrived at the Sag Harbor courthouse handcuffed with his hands in front, accompanied by his attorney and 2 others. According to TMZ, Timberlake faces 1 count of DWI and additional citations for running a stop sign and failing to stay in his lane. His next court appearance is scheduled for July 26. Sources indicate that the incident occurred after Timberlake had dinner at the American Hotel at Sag Harbor. He was pulled over en route to a friend's house and no injuries were reported. An attempt to reach Timberlake's representatives for comment has been unsuccessful. Canadian superstar Drake has surpassed 100 billion streams on Spotify across all credits. The rapper has become the first artist in history to earn a milestone of 100 billion streams on Spotify music monitoring company Chat Data announced via X on Tuesday night. He has more than doubled the streams of the next closest rapper, Eminem. The breakdown of Drake's 100 billion Spotify streams shows an average of 234 million streams per song and an average of 5 billion streams per album. His most streamed song on platform is his 2016 hit song One Dance, featuring Nigerian Afrobeat singer Wizkid and British pop star Kyla, which has garnered 3.2 billion streams. And now in sports, Victor Osimhen will most likely end up at Arsenal, with Italian journalist Saro Venerato reporting the Premier League giants are ready to make €100 million bid for Nigerian striker, which is €30 million short of the release clause set by Napoli in his recent contract. Napoli's president has made it clear that they will not entertain bids below his release clause, which would surpass Arsenal's current transfer records of €105 million paid for Declan Rice last summer. However, Arsenal hope to strike a deal for a more modest sum, around €100 million or €85 million. Arsenal will now try the Nigerian, who dreams of the Premier League, but not by paying the onerous amount of the clause, but a lower sum, continued Venerato. Napoli will have to evaluate the pros and cons. Arsenal's initial target, RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko, has committed his future to Leipzig for another year, pushing them to explore other options over the need to secure the necessary firepower to exchange Manchester City and end their two-decade wait for a Premier League title. Osimhen, who has openly expressed his desire for a new challenge, dreams of playing in the Premier League. His impressive track record, including 26 league goals in the 2022-2023 season that propelled Napoli to their first Serie A title since 1990, makes him an enticing prospect for Arsenal. Sevilla sporting director Victor Orta has revealed the reason behind the club's decision to sign Chidera Ejuke. The Rojiblancos announced Ejuke's arrival at the club on Monday. The Nigerian international joined the former UEFA Europa League on a free transfer after running down his contract at Russian club CSK Moscow. The winger was introduced to the fans on Wednesday. Orta insisted that Nigerian is exactly what the club needs in a winger. The NFF Executive Committee has finally accepted the resignation of Finidi George as Super Eagles coach. The NFF reportedly refused to initially accept the resignation because the letter by Finidi was unsigned, but the quit notice has since been signed and made available to all members of the executive. In his letter addressed to NFF President Ibrahim Gusau, he said that the light of the changes of the Super Eagles technical crew he headed, and which had several persons handpicked by him, he has opted to step down from his post as head coach of the Super Eagles. The NFF had announced they would hire a new coach before 2025 AFCON qualifiers get underway in the first week of September. Former British #1 Emma Raducanu has been given a wild card to play at the Wimbledon next month. Raducanu, 21, is one of 4 Grand Slam champions given such an exemption for the women's singles. Japan's Naomi Osaka, Denmark's Caroline, and Germany's Angelique Kerber, who won the 2018 Wimbledon title, have also been invited to play. Wildcards are given by All England club to players who are not ranked high enough to qualify directly into the main draw. And that's the global news for tonight, but before we go, another look at the major stories. Declare state of emergency, reverse APC urges Tinubu. Gunmen kill 6 in Fresh Benue attack. Reps pledges unwavering support for military operations. Nigeria spends $600 million importing palm oil annually. Cyril Ramaphosa sworn in for second term. Rema wins double at 2024 ASCAP Music Awards. And Arsenal ready €100 million Osimhen bid. I am Enidoye Jackson. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on all of our social media platforms on X at Atlantic TV Net, on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Have a very good evening.